Okay, so today on Ask the Oracle, we're embracing the light, unlocking inner abundance with the gorgeous Sunshine Connelly, shining a light on your authentic self and direction. In this episode, we welcome Sunshine, an intuitive life and soul guide, designer, business developer, and published author. Sunshine's journey from a rural village in the Philippines to becoming a mentor and guide for many is so inspirational. Join us as we delve into her unique blend of practical and metaphysical guidance, uncovering the secrets of tapping into our abundance of well-being and happiness. Sunshine shares her story of growing up in a family with a rich spiritual lineage, her experiences with otherworldly beings, and a profound near-death experience that shaped her understanding of love and light. We'll also explore her published works, including the absolutely stunning The Soul Miracle Oracle and her upcoming projects. So that's really exciting. Whether you're looking for personal growth, spiritual insights, or an inspiring story, this episode has something for everyone. Hi, Sunshine. How are you, my love?
Hi, Suzy. I'm well. How are you?
Very, very good.
Thanks for
Thank
having me
you.
today.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. I'm so excited to have you here because I absolutely love and adore the Soul Mirror Oracle and everything you do. So, yay, how
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And we're in that beautiful full moon glow as well. So the timing's perfect for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yay. So let's delve into these really juicy questions. I can't wait. I'm so curious to find out more about your work. So, can you
Mm.
share the inspiration behind the Soul Mirror Oracle and what visions influenced its creation?
Yeah, so the Soul Mirror Oracle is essentially a tool, as all decks are, but using the external world as a 3D, I guess, as a reflection to understand what's going on within. So when I fell deep into writing this, I just got visions of the world being essentially a tool to learn, and um, and because it's such a dense world, as we know, we're
Yes,
physical, we bleed, things are very obvious in this, I guess, dimension. So the learning is should be quick, and
yes,
yeah, and it's in your face, so to speak. So using the Soul Mirror Oracle, I guess when you're pulling a card, or even without it, I practice this without obviously the cards, but if something on the external world is sort of triggering me, or it doesn't even have to trigger, it sort of like rings a bell within me, then I ask
yes,
myself, what is it about that that I need to understand or learn, or yeah, using it to go within. So using the external to then go within and ask myself the questions for healing, for growth, or to know that I'm on the right path. Not everything is bad. Um, yeah, it can also say yes, you're on the right path as well. So
exactly. I love that. I
yeah,
love the
yeah,
trigger, the glimmer, that beautiful mirror work of going within,
yeah.
trying to make sense of that, the spiritual into, yeah, into bringing that into reality, or how can we make it relevant to the journey,
Mm,
right? So, you
mm.
know, um,
Yeah,
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of
I love that.
with the channeling, I did see that we create we all create reality through our minds, and so whatever we carry within ourselves, and including ancestral, or um, every minute bit of detail that we've got within our body is expressed through the sort of comes up and then projects from the mind, and then that interwoven with everyone else, so co-creating our reality, this physical reality that we see. Um, so that was a big part of the soul mirror as well. And I guess it's hard to sort of articulate in a condensed format like a deck, but I think it's really important to sort of go, wow, I'm co-creating that. I'm expressing that so I can see it. So even though it is external, it's also you out there coming back to you. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm not sure if that
exactly.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
and it's not so much about because I've got the two perspectives on the card. So I've got the fear perspective and the love perspective.
I love that you do that too, by the way. You know, that beautiful duality, that
Yeah,
beautiful balance, the night and day, not the
yeah,
right and wrong, more
no,
of that beautiful kind of like, you know, the shadow, the light, you know,
exactly. And a lot
the unconscious, the conscious. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people have asked, is this a shadow work deck? And I think most people would say that perhaps it is, but I actually think it's a love deck. I go, we're trying to do the opposite. We're looking at the shadow or looking at the dark or, seeing that as a gift and then going, how can I see that from love? Because I essentially, we are love and we
Yes,
want to get
yeah.
to that to then reflect that out there. So yeah, I call it love work.
I love that. And you know, it's, you know, shining that beautiful soul light into the shadow anyway, isn't it? Which has to be, you know, it has to be a loving kind of a loving connection, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you know, and we are love. So, you know, yeah, I love, but I really do love that the deck has depth though. And I think when you have that kind of you know, that contrast, it does
Mhm.
give the deck a lot of beautiful, deep meaning as well. So yeah, good on you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Hmm.
I guess it's yeah, it can be used in either ways. You can sort of say, okay, that's the message, and then that's
Yeah.
the two dualities. But also, you can pull more cards or explore each side further and go, okay, well, what's that expressing on the fear side or the shadow, or what's needing to be highlighted there, and then vice versa for the light or the love perspective too. So yeah, multiple ways to use it.
Yeah. And I love that the cards are, you know, that multi-layered as well. You know, I love that.
Thank you.
So are you planning to release more Oracle decks? And if so, could you provide a sneak peek into what's coming?
Yeah, so I've actually got the Soul Mirror Tarot that I'm designing at the moment. So that's
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a bit exciting. So that will come out next, and similar sort of, obviously the same sort of practice of looking at the shadow and transmuting that to love, and but in the tarot sort of formatting, which is beautiful. That's also with Anna Novaeus, who's the artist who I love and adore. um, and then I've got Oracle of Symbols, which is a little bit um, it's a shorter sort of format, so the messages will be on the back of the cards, and yeah, quick, energetic yes or no answers on them as well. So those ones are more, sort of quick readings that you can sort of just, if you need some guidance, on the fly, or you know,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, Oracle of Symbols, and also I guess it does come back to looking at the external world, because we get lots of symbols, and I mean, I that's my life. I look out there and I go, okay, what's that trying to tell me, or what's that bug saying to me, or how do I feel about what I'm looking at? I'm always doing that constant reflection. So symbols is another way to do that, I guess. Um, I've also got Oracle of Animals and Dreams, which that was developed with Anna as well. Very different artwork, very colourful and quite esoteric, and lots of mysticism, and it's very, very beautiful. Quite soft and dreamlike too, but yeah, I'm excited about that, because that will be quite a different style of work for Anna that she'll be sharing.
I have seen Anna's work. And I
Mm,
just thought, absolutely stunning art.
mm.
Yeah, and as I said to you, I love black and white art anyway. I think it gives
Yeah.
such beautiful depth. So, but it's so good that you co-create with an artist, and you're working on a number of decks. I do that with Lila Savalainen, and you
Mm,
develop this kind of beautiful collaborative, telepathic connection,
yeah.
which is really wonderful. And I love that you love symbols as well, because I just love, that symbolic language, that kind of,
Mm, mm.
I think that sounds really exciting. I can't wait to see those. That sounds
Yeah.
really good. Yay.
Thank
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. And it's really interesting too, because do you believe that kind of every oracle deck, it takes on its own personality, its own spirit, its own
you.
life? It's almost like it kind of talks to you. Do you find that when you go through that creative process?
Oh, absolutely. I think, something else takes over. Well, really,
Yes.
that's how I felt, particularly with the Soul Mirror, because that was my first and, my baby that sort of cracked me open in a way. I've never thought I would be a writer, but I do channel and I do have very strong connection to spirit, and I wanna share my insight. So I think that's
Yes.
the
Yeah.
driving factor in doing this work. Um, yeah, so you're absolutely right. I think they just take on their own energy, and sometimes it's not what you well, often I find it's not what you sort of envisaged, but it's a lot better. Because, the
It's almost
universe.
like they know better, isn't it?
Oh,
Like we get that vision and we get those
absolutely.
beautiful insights and downloads, and just,
Mm,
and we have our own idea, and
mm,
then it just kind of expands and develops into this beautiful kind of gorgeous entity that
mm.
just kind of takes on this gorgeous life of its own. And yeah, I love
Yeah,
that you kind of you have that same sort of process. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think I would say most artists would, I assume, artists and writers and musicians, it's like, yeah, it comes I think we're all creators, and yeah, we tap into this abundant well-being of what we are, which is creators.
Yes.
And I think that's just where that flows so heavily, coming
Yeah.
in source and expressing who we are innately. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you're right, we are, conscious creators, whether or not it's just, the thoughts, feelings, and words becoming things, or whether or not it's a lot
Mm,
more of a deliberate connection in regards to, I want to create this beautiful oracle deck. That's my way of,
mm.
yeah, creating that beautiful love legacy out there. I love that. So you've also got a deck coming out called Heaven on Earth. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's my big one that I'm working on.
Yes.
That is another big labor of love, as they all are, but this one in particular, it's yeah, it's more about a channeling of another dimension or another planet or another place,
Yes.
and it's the cards are essentially, talking about this place, but I believe that we can embody it on Earth. Um, the concepts, I mean, people talk about, being love and if for eons and eons. But I suppose I'm trying to articulate this in a way from this dimension it literally is so powerful that anything can happen. And I look at this planet I go to this planet quite a lot, and they know that, everything love just amplifies, and so they're a lot more advanced and a lot more, there's no pain, there's no suffering, there's really it's just a beautiful place because they don't see the purpose of fear at all. Fear deteriorates, fear takes away, it strips, it's there's no need for it. So, yeah, I don't know if you can imagine being in this space,
I
but it's
can. Yeah. Yeah. It
yeah.
sounds
So
like a beautiful space to be in. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So these cards I'm sort of bringing in to this reality
Yeah.
and trying to articulate this place as best as I can. It's quite hard with our language and um, the way we have perception for different words. It's very different, but yeah, I'm hoping. Like I said, it's a big job because I'm trying to express this planet, but it does essentially boil down to love and
Yes.
um,
And being that conduit, that anchor, I love that you
mm,
go to this planet
mm,
and, yeah, and then kind of like, how do we embody that down here in our beautiful kind of,
mm,
uh, earth, our
yeah,
3D down here, like how do we do that? So to
yeah,
convey those key messages of love, of, you don't have to, we were not born to suffer. We do not have to necessarily, yeah, fear can be quite paralyzing, can't it? So,
exactly.
yeah. So, it's interesting when you are a channel. I don't know if you find this, but,
Mm,
I think the most challenging part is that intuitive interpretation. Like we get these
mm,
really profound messages
mm,
and then it's like, well, how do we make that, yeah, how do we make that relevant in the here and now? How do we
mm,
make that practical? How can we anchor that? Yeah, yeah. So, and I love that it's an actual planet that you're actually visiting because, yeah, that's so wonderful. Yeah,
yeah, thank you. It's a little bit, I don't say that often to many
I
people,
know.
but
Yeah.
I guess that, now that this deck will come into fruition, maybe at the end of next year or the year after, it will be released out there that I do go to, I do travel to other dimensions and talk to other beings and um, yeah, which is, it can be confronting to some, but
You're speaking my language actually, because
oh, good.
I've always had a very strong connection to the Pleiades
Mm,
and to many other dimensions.
mm,
And yeah, so
mm,
I understand where you're coming from, absolutely. And I think,
mm,
I feel like your timing couldn't be more perfect too, because I feel like as a collective, we're opening up
mm,
to the idea of that as well a lot more. Like you and I have
mm,
probably always done it, it was, since little
mm,
girls we've probably been connecting with those other realms. But I just
yeah,
feel like, the timing's right for people to realize that yeah, like the cosmos is massive and there's some amazing beautiful yeah, planets and beings out there. So yeah,
yeah,
so
exactly.
exciting. I love the
Thank
name of it too, by the way. Heaven
oh,
on earth,
thank
that's like anchoring that, that divine energy to the
mm,
here and now, to our beautiful, earth mother. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
I think, like you're saying, anchoring the energy, bringing in that energy into this space, and, if I go back to Soul Mirror, which is really, it is the foundation to all my work, it's having that within us to then weave into the tapestry of our reality, because we do co-create that. We co-create what
Yes.
we see, and it's instantaneous too. So when we're talking about manifestation and that sort of thing, it is woven, literally those intentions are woven in and then projected outward. So it's just so powerful. Yeah, I'm excited to share about it, but still in the throes of, you know, having that information come through and
Yeah.
which can be a bit overwhelming. And there aren't words most of the time, as we know. So,
It's more of it's that kind of like, it sounds woo-woo, but it's that transmission, that vibration, and those insights, and
yes.
yeah, and doing that intuitive interpretation to somehow,
Mm,
put that into a system, I guess, like into a beautiful oracle card deck. And
yeah.
um, I love that your soul mirror oracle is the mother for all these beautiful creations that you're bringing forward. And I'm a really big believer in manifestation as well.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, I think if more of us understand how powerful that process is, yeah,
Or how
yeah,
powerful we are as creators. Like, we really are creators. And yeah, sort of everything going from the inside out. That's how I see it. It's like an inversion constantly, even
yes,
the
yeah,
world, the energy of the world. And I know that it's tumultuous at the moment. There's so much happening, but that's the inside, the energy reverberating outwards. And then what we see on the outside is essentially a mirror to what's happening on
exactly.
the
A
inside.
reflection of what's really going on. Yeah,
Exactly. So I know
exactly,
right now it's all coming out. It's all sort of being exposed. It's all sort of there's lots of but I think that's for healing, that's for us to see it
exactly.
clearly and to go, right,
Yeah,
that's what's happening on the inner. And whether it's me or a collective of us or the world, then that's the inversion, the constant inversion.
exactly. Like it has to rise to the surface so it can be transmuted or
Mm,
alchemized. So,
mm,
you know, yeah. And I'm with you. I feel like 2024, like there was so many kind of, hidden kind of secrets that were being revealed, as a
mm,
collective,
mm,
better
mm.
out than in, right?
Exactly.
So
Absolutely.
Oh dear. Now you've had numerous encounters with spirits and
Mm.
other worldly beings. Can you share some of these intimate experiences that you've had? Because I find, I mean, yeah, I've experienced a similar thing, but I'd love your experiences if you can share those. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I've like you and probably most other sort of spiritual people, you sort of attract lots of beings, entities, angels, other. So I've always had, sighting ghost encounters and
Yes. Yeah.
um visions of different beings, and most of them I've never seen in this world. So, but one really profound experience that I had, and I hope it doesn't scare too many people, that was a
It
near.
certainly won't scare my audience, Sunshine.
Okay, trigger warning.
They're very open-minded, very open-hearted. Yeah,
Yeah,
curious. Yeah.
beautiful, yeah. And it's not to scare, actually. It's actually to. I will share a bit of this story, and I hope to write it out into a novel, actually, because I think it will help people. But it's not to scare; it's to empower and to share a message of what we are. But I went to the Philippines early last year, and for a family funeral, and I haven't been to the Philippines in a long time, but I went up into the rural villages, which I don't know if you know much about them, but they're very superstitious.
Yeah.
Um, very, they still have witch doctors, and they still there's lots of woo woo. There's lots of curses. It's very much still in that sort of that way of being
Yeah,
up
yeah.
there.
It's that kind of mixture of like, I know a lot of them are very Christian, very Catholic too, right?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
this beautiful blend of, like, old, yeah, it can be quite superstitious. There can be a lot of,
mm,
elemental energy, lots of nature
yeah,
spirits, lots of,
yeah,
yeah. I actually kind of really love that whole kind of blend of
yeah,
I experienced that in Bali quite a lot, because
yeah.
they've got that fusion of Buddhism,
Mm,
Hinduism,
mm,
nature spirits,
mm,
superstitious,
mm.
but they do the most beautiful self-devotional practices as well.
Yeah,
But
I love
yeah,
I love Bali too. It's gorgeous. Yeah, so I mean, I grew up with stories of my mum and, my grandfather, the village witch doctor, and mum has countless stories of things that she, witnessed and saw. And so it wasn't that I was unarmed going there, but when I was going for the funeral, I actually had a really strong intuition that I was going to die. And I wasn't sure if that was, I was sort of questioning at the time whether or not that was my fears and sort of going, I haven't been
Yes.
there in a long time. But it was so strong, and I shared it with my partner, and I said, "Look, I've got this really strong intuition. I keep getting that someone's going to abduct me or I'm going to die." Um, but I I thought, no, I've got to go. I've got to support my mum and take her to her sister's funeral, and um, yeah, so booked the tickets, went, and um, when I arrived, I actually got a huge migraine, and I never get migraines ever in my life. And I
Right.
thought, okay, that's interesting. And I just had the biggest migraine, and it lasted for 5 days. I couldn't get out of the bed.
Migraines are debilitating. I used to get them when I was younger, and they're
Mm,
debilitating. Yes.
absolutely. I'd never experienced
Yeah.
it. So I was basically essentially just in bed and got up for the funeral, but I was really worried because I thought something's not right. And I had my uncle come, and he did, energy work on me. I had the local witch doctor do energy work on me, and it was sort of a bit of I was just laying in this room, concrete room, and all these people coming in, and it was quite a whirlwind. And I was crying most of the time. It was really, really full on. But then the last night, the night before we were leaving, I kept having visions, and they were negative visions. So there were skulls in the mirror, um, and I was thinking, oh, something's something's not quite right. Something, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I
Yeah.
kept getting the warning signs basically. And that night I thought, okay, this is my last night. I've made it. I'm not being abducted, but I kept getting these sort of
I shouldn't laugh. It's
no, no,
awful.
it's a bit funny. Kept getting these visions, and so I was trying to get to sleep, and the only thing I could describe it as is that something was trying to enter me through my right ear, which was kind of exposed to the window.
Mm.
And I packed sage spray that I thought I'd need this because I just, have my tools.
Yeah.
Um, and I packed that, and I thought I'll just reach out that and just sort of spray it all over me. And I tried to go back to sleep, and it just kept on happening. And the next time it happened, it was almost like it was trying to possess me. So
Yeah.
I don't like to use that word just fleetingly. It felt like a real sort of entity possession and something trying to enter my being. And what I could see is myself sort of spinning around, going downward, and it was like the whole room was spinning. And I went into a full blown panic attack, and I've only had one of them in my life, but I think the panic attack was my body saying, "Hang on, wake
Yeah.
up, alert, um, get yourself back," like a slap in the face, get yourself back into
Yes,
the
exactly. Yeah.
um, So I sat bolt upright, and I sprayed my spray. But
Yeah.
every 10 minutes, and I turned on the light. My mum was in the room, and my mum did not know what was going.
She didn't feel it?
She didn't feel it. She didn't see. I could not engage with her, and it
Right.
was like
Interesting.
I was paralyzed, and I kept
Yes.
getting the visions kept becoming stronger, and I
Yes.
had visions of me going out and getting lost in the jungle. I had visions of something taking over my body and wanting to push me out. Um, and it kept on happening. So maybe every 10 minutes, this entity would try and come into me. And what I did and what I felt intuitively is I had to just pull back to who I was
Yes.
on a cellular soul level, and just really pull back, because I
Yes.
knew that my physical body,
Yeah.
something wasn't right. Mum didn't even I had the light on, mum wasn't waking up. It was just a really strange incident. And I could see this entity, and it was sort of like a bug entity, large, and I had this vision.
Mm.
Anyway, I pulled myself back, and it was like I died. My physical body had died, and I'd gone
Yeah.
to my being. And what I saw is my energy being, and it rose quite high, and I had my hand out, but it all came from love. So I pulled myself back and I was saying, who am I? What am I? Going to the deepest part of me. And it was pure love. And I feel that if I had any ounce or thread of fear,
Yes. Yeah.
then that entity probably would have come into me.
I guarantee it. Yeah.
And a single thread or a single
Yes.
cell
Because
or a,
it's an opening then. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it was a very strong experience, and it kept going on. So was every 10 minutes, then it slowed down to maybe every 20 minutes, then it was every 45 minutes, and then it was every hour until sunlight, essentially, so 5 a.m. And I called on, my guides. I called on Archangel Michael, and I kept getting, no, this is,
The
we
powers
you,
within you.
but
That core of
yeah,
love. Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
You just need to focus on who you are, and that is love. And that is all. We're here for you, but we're not doing all the work. So I got that. I realized that I had this huge lion animal spirit that is always around, and I do feel him around. So I had him by my side, and he would growl. It was just it was a horrific experience. I felt like I was being tortured, but on the light side of that, I realized who I am and who we all are. I think we are all love. And to just, in any situation, to go to love is just so important, because that will just, it's like nothing can touch you.
Exactly. Like
So,
love is the best protection of all, right? That
absolutely.
vibration of love. And um, as opposed to that, fear can be like almost like a magnet, like a
Yeah,
magnet. And
yeah,
that, it's almost like, energetically they want to merge with you, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but the reason I'm going, yeah, 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 is because I actually had a similar experience myself. It's only
Oh,
ever
wow.
happened to me once, and it was terrifying.
Wow.
But it did feel like a trial by fire as well.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, and it's like, were we in a trance? Possibly.
yeah,
Were we in a different dimension? Possibly. Because a
yeah.
similar thing happened to me too. That paralyzation. How come
Mm,
I'm sensing it, no one else is?
mm.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah,
Um,
it was like a baptism of fire. And I wouldn't say it was a spiritual opening, because I have been spiritual in my life, but
yes.
I guess I do say that I did die that night, because
Yeah.
I now see myself as a completely different um, being. It's like I see myself as energy. And I mean, I'm very grateful for the body that I have and for everything in this dimension. But I, yeah, I do see myself differently, and I just think, wow, so much is possible. And embodying that emotion of love, it's like it's a limitless. Um, I don't know. It's just
Well,
limitless.
it's infinite, isn't it? Like it's
Infinite. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh wow, that's so great. I love that.
Yeah.
So was
Thank.
that your near-death experience that shaped your life and worked since then?
Well, yeah, it shaped the Soul Mirror Oracle. And
Yes.
even though I did always I intuitively practice the soul mirror, like mirroring with the external world. I've done that all my life. So
Yes.
everyone's always, said how calm I am, and because I'm always reflecting on the outside and going, okay, is that triggering me? And often things don't, because if they ever have, I've tried to deal with it at the time or reflected
Yeah,
on it, and even just bringing it to light's enough, to go, okay,
exactly. Having
yeah,
that self-awareness
absolutely,
is going to, and I love the way you were explaining, you know, for me, it was like stepping back, stepping back, stepping back, going into yeah, that the core of who we are, which is love. The way you explained it was profound. I loved it. Um, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
good, so good.
thank yeah. I'm
So in
still
your, yeah, you're still
I'm still
like,
yet
yeah,
to process all of that because I think part of me, goes, "Why did that happen?" I still have no explanation, I even though I'm very I see ghosts and I connect with beings and all that stuff, that one was it was something else, and
yes, yeah. Well, I
I
don't normally have a fear of spirit because I'm a
mm,
medium, so I communicate with human
mm,
spirit and,
mm,
divinities all of the time. But in
mm,
saying that, I did have a similar experience one night, and it
mm,
was terrifying. And and I knew that the intuitively I knew that, yeah, fear was not the right space to be in. But
no.
how? But yeah, it's hard to come out of that though when it is actually quite fearful though.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it takes a lot of strength, a lot
Yeah.
of, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, really, like you said, a lot of strength pulling back to who we are and I guess innately, no one's ever told me any of that. It's and probably not you either. You sort of we pull back to that, we go into that remembering of who we are um yeah, quite a profound experience that has shaped my perspective and yeah.
It's really interesting because in a lot of shamanic cultures, they call it
Mm.
the cracking open, the breaking down, and it's
Mm.
not often pleasant.
Mm.
But the epiphany is, having that. I know you've been spiritual your whole life, but having
Mm.
that really deep understanding of, oh my goodness, I am love.
Yeah.
Yeah, like really
Yeah.
knowing that.
Yeah, and it's a whole other
Yeah,
level too of understanding that. It's like I've been that. I am that. You know,
yeah.
I
It's not
completely
even a feeling. It's a way of being. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully,
So
I want to share it even though, I do like scary movies and things too, so and some
yes.
people, get into that as well, but the book that I'll write down the track will basically be that whole experience, that whole journey, and weaving in some of the superstitious beliefs of my mum and my grandfather, and
Do you
yeah,
believe because of their rituals and their practices and their beliefs?
mm,
I often feel it in Bali. It's kind of
mm,
like it's almost like those nature spirits are being invoked somehow. Like there's
oh,
some kind of ongoing invocation where they're
definitely,
being like, almost like woken up or invoked somehow. And a
absolutely,
lot of them are spectacular and
mm,
beautiful and
mm,
yeah, and yeah,
mm,
yeah, it's interesting, but it's you can feel it almost,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, definitely,
I want to ask you a little bit about your mentoring sessions
mm,
because
mm,
I know that you do a lot of really good work that way too. So, in your
mm,
guidance and mentoring sessions, how do you sort of integrate the practical and the
mm,
metaphysical tools? Like, what's your go-to? Like, yeah.
mm,
You want
yeah.
to sort of explain that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I've because I'm a designer and business developer as well. That's my job, I suppose.
I love
Um,
that you designed your own deck. Like,
I
I
feel
know that you
really
work with an artist, you co-create with an artist,
yeah.
but I absolutely love the design of the Soul Mirror Oracle, and I
Thank
love that you designed it. Like,
yeah.
there's
I'm very
something really
lucky.
special about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I feel very grateful for that. So yeah, yeah, it is very special that I get to do that. But yeah, with my work, I suppose the practical side is is that I work with people that come to me with a practical problem. And a lot of it is through business because let's face it, we've got to earn money in this world. And
Yes.
I just think that with the mentoring, so I look at their problem, perceived problem, I suppose, and I sort of unpick it with them, have that consultation, and a lot of it is practical, but I do get lots of messages or I get lots of um, channeling and visions on I suppose, what the solutions are. So the practical side is, yes, we're going to work on your business or, um, whatever problem you're going through in this physical reality. But then I guess the metaphysical side is me using my innate, abilities to help with that. And so it's an interwoven.
Oh, it's a great marriage. I think
Yeah.
if you can marry the practical, pragmatic with the
Mm,
spiritual and the intuitive,
mm,
like it's an incredibly powerful process.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I love that you do that.
a lot of the times it doesn't necessarily come from me. I'm just reflecting,
Yeah.
And it just sometimes takes someone else external to ding that bell and go, oh, hey, but what about this, or have you not thought about it this way? Because when you're in the thick of a business, or you've got problems and it's hard to see outside of that. And it's good to just have someone to bounce off, or someone to just reflect with, or someone to just say, hey, what about this? This, but I do it with myself all the time. It's like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
I say
Yeah.
these things, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, the practice of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so yeah, I suppose I come from it from a very practical perspective in
I
terms of
love that.
life
Yeah.
situation, or mostly business and work, because yeah, that's kind of majority of our lives, I would say.
Exactly.
And,
We have to navigate this,
mm,
yeah, our life. And yeah, I think if, I love that. I'm a practical psychic. So I love the idea of,
mm,
you know, yeah, you can be practical and you can
yeah,
be intuitive. And if you bring those two together,
yeah,
yeah, and weaving in the abundance mindset and the
mm,
and the manifestation, I call
mm,
it magic, same thing.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's super cool. That's super
yeah,
cool. Now I have
and
to say I'm
yeah,
really fascinated because you've got this incredibly amazing lineage, ancestral lineage and
mm,
heritage.
mm,
um, I'm just fascinated. I know that for the first 5 years of your life, you grew up in the rural village. Did you in the Philippines?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that would have been really impactful at that age. So, how do
mm,
you think those experiences shape your perspective and career now?
yeah. I guess I've just always felt from a young age that there is more than what we see, because of everything that I was, surrounded with. And
Yes. Yeah.
um, so I've always said my language is energy, and when I look out there, I don't really see things with my physical eyes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel them, and that's how I see. And it's quite literal, actually. It's almost like, if I'm getting ready, like did myself up a bit today, it's like, oh, snap back into that physical side. But
Yes. Yeah.
the way I've always operated, I guess, because of that impact of childhood, is that there is more than what meets the physical eye. So there's always stories of, the witch that lives down there, or that pond has entities in the water, and
Yeah.
if you go there, that you'd often see things moving, or hear kids laughing, or
Yes.
there were always these stories of, yeah, things that are unexplainable in the world, but yet they make sense as well. So I think, yeah, that's just,
I
I
think
guess.
it's a supportive environment, isn't it? When you've
Mm,
grown up with that perspective, and
mm,
that it
mm,
makes you, be kind of like open to the
mm,
idea. I know it's deeper than that, but it's kind of
yeah,
like, yeah. I think, yeah, I love that. That's so good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think it just boils down to knowing that, or having it within me from a young age, that there's more to the world.
Yeah, well, everything has a spirit, everything has an
Mm,
energy. That's
mm,
scientific, not just spiritual. That
yeah,
everything has, an energetic imprint. It has a spirit.
mm,
Um, yeah, yeah.
And I think that's always been my language because that
I love the way you explain that. Yeah.
thank yeah, that's sort of how I grew up. It was
Yeah.
physical, it was more, "How does that feel?" Or yeah, it was otherworldly, I
I
guess.
think it kind of like it does tend to travel in families too, doesn't it? Like it's
Mm,
often
mhm.
handed down, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're also a competitive swimmer and a repeat finalist in the Australian Open. Is that right?
Ye
That
yeah.
has to influence how you your how you kind of your current, what you're up to. Yeah?
Yeah, I guess so. I think yeah, so I was a competitive swimmer from when I was 12, and, um, in when I was 14, I made the Australian Open final, so it was quite quick for that progression, and that was the 2000 Olympic Games, so that's saying my age. But, yeah, I think for me, again, mm, coming from the Philippines and going, "Well, I am limitless. I don't
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't have physical boundaries," and
Yes.
swimming for me was, not that I could articulate it at the time, I just did what I did, but, it was like, "Okay, let's see how hard I can go, let's see how fast I am,"
Yeah.
and kind of stepping outside of, a mind constraint of what I'm a what is possible for me, and, yeah, so I think that was just woven into me being a competitive swimmer, and it could have been anything, I guess, but swimming, was the sport, and, um, yeah, so I was a repeat finalist for the Australian Open and didn't quite make the Olympic Games, but,
That's
um
high level though.
and I'm kind of glad now because I would have gone down a different path,
Yes.
I would say. Um,
Yeah.
I was competing with Liesl Jones and, Ian Thorpe and Grant Hackett and all those amazing people. But I think if I, made the Olympics and went down that path, my life would have been quite different. And you know, I think that this is my work to express more of how I feel about energy and who we are, and, I'm more inspired by that. So it was obviously
Yes. Yeah.
all to be, but,
Similar thing. I was a ballerina, and I was about to audition for the Australian Ballet Company, and there was talk that I'd get in,
mm,
but then I had an accident. But
yeah,
was it an accident?
yeah,
Right? Was it meant to happen? At the
yeah,
time, it was devastating, of course, but
yeah,
when I look back on that, it's like,
mm,
no, I'm pretty happy with my life because this I feel like this is my calling and my life purpose too. So it's not like,
yeah,
I'm going to just put it down one day. I feel like I'll be doing this right up
mm,
until, I pass over. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I think
Exactly.
we just can't stop, can we?
No.
We wanna share the messages we want, I think in the end, I can just see an amazing world that we can all build collectively, and, um,
Yes.
I want to
That's the
share
big
what
picture, isn't it? Yeah.
it is, absolutely. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to almost finish up, but I just
Yeah.
wanted just a quick couple of questions. So, what
Mm,
advice would you offer someone looking to
mm,
unlock their inner potential
mm.
and lead an amazing life? Because, yeah, I'd love your take on that.
Well, that's a big question actually,
It
but
is.
it's a big question because I suppose, you go, "Okay, how to take your whole life and sort of condense it into that." But in saying it's a big question is also quite a simple one, and just knowing that you have enough and that you are enough and you've got the power. Like, I have no doubt that everyone has the power and potential to fulfill what they want to do. It's just like, I don't know, it is simple just to go, "Yeah, you can do it." Like, it's almost
Yeah.
like there's no
Yeah.
doubt. You
Yeah.
can choose
You
the life.
say that with such like such conviction,
uh,
and to me, I know that it's yeah, it's just it's so true. You have to know it, believe it, you
Mm,
know, and to
mm,
consciously create that life too, you know? Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. It's just
Beautiful.
you're here and you're here to, be you essentially. And what you've got to give is what everyone wants and needs. And it doesn't matter about the external validations or expectations. You really have to go to your core being and just express that. That's all we're here to do. So, and if that's from love, then yeah, that's it. We are love. So yeah.
Yeah, love that. Beautiful. So, have you got your deck there? Do you just want to pull a quick
Oh
card?
yes, I do. So that's the cover for anyone that hasn't seen it. It's a
I
bit
just
hard.
love
It's
that art. It's
yeah.
beautiful. And the
Yeah.
branding's gorgeous, Sunshine.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations, my love.
Oh,
It's
thank
stunning.
you.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll just do a bit of a shuffle. Pull a card. Oh wow. So I pulled knowledge.
Knowledge.
Trying to get that straight there.
I love that. Oh, wow. Look at that art.
I know.
And it truly is art, isn't it? It's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, her work's it's simple, but there is so much room. It's like you dive into it, it's
Yeah,
like
it's powerful. Yeah.
very powerful. So knowledge, and I've got knowing or ignorant. And I guess in that duality, and it sort of ties into what I was saying before, who you are, just know that you have got everything you need. Like absolutely
Yeah.
know that. And that is the knowledge. That is your truth to carry. Ignorant is obviously not looking at it, not going into that, not seeing it. She's got her eyes closed, so
Mm.
she's well, they're not even closed. They could be open under there, but she's stopping herself from seeing. It's like the fear's coming in, the fear of going into that. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. I love that. What a great way to end.
Thank
And
you
I
so
think
much.
I mentioned to you earlier, yeah, just quickly, like I pulled a card for you, and it's Goddess Mayari, the magnificent lunar goddess of the moon from the ancient Filipino pantheon. And she's so
Beautiful.
you, and the card is the beauty card, full moon.
Oh
So
wow.
yay.
Thank
I feel
you.
like she's like a personification of you, my love. Yeah. So, how can our listeners connect with you for guidance? We're going to put all that in the show notes, but I know that you've got a stunning Instagram, haven't you? And yeah.
Yeah, so Instagram, it's pretty private, my Instagram. It's a lot of home life and um yeah, I haven't really put a lot of my work in terms of my intuitive work into that, but that's just Sunshine Connelly on Instagram. But the best way probably to contact me for mentorship or a chat is sunshineconnelly.com, which is my website. And yeah, happy to go from there. Um, I also have a design website called
Oh, do
vesselstudio.com.au.
you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's got
Love
a
it.
lot of
I'll check it out.
business, like the practical business side of things, where I do new business branding and websites. Not so much these days because I'm pretty busy with my other work, but yeah, we pick and choose. My partner and I do that work, but yeah, I mean, we don't do a whole bunch
What's
of
it called again? Sunshine? What is it?
vesselstudio.com.au.
Vessel Studio.
Yeah. So
Perfect.
vessel's the container, the business for the energy
What a
inside it.
great name.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
love that.
Thank you. So
So
yeah,
thank you for coming on today. Oh, it was just such a great chat. So soulful, so inspiring, and yeah, watch this space. I can't wait to see what you cook up. So thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks, Suzy. Such a pleasure. And yeah, we'll connect again soon, I
Oh, definitely. I'd love to have you back on.
hope. Thank you.
Chat later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.